Hi, I'm Kim Ross. I'm a psychologist, and this is my podcast, which is Creating Connection. And we're in a bit of a little role here about talking about movement. So the subtitle of this podcast is Eat, Sleep, Move, Connect, and we're talking about walking and how awesome walking is. So we have covered in previous podcasts moving and loving your body. And we have covered moving and anxiety and discomfort tolerance, increasing discomfort tolerance. So you can go back and check two of the last three podcasts are about walking. But this one today is on micro connections. Yes, but first I'm going to touch a little bit about how walking serves as an anchor, as a reset button for me. But also it's like a bit of a momentum shifter. I wake fairly early most mornings. Some mornings it's ridiculous and my body doesn't want to go back to sleep. It might be 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, so I'll get up and I don't do a lot. So it's not like I've set my alarm for 4 o'clock and I get up and I do this and I do that. And yeah, some mornings, occasionally it's like that. But more often than not, it's really slow. It's me, my coffee, my brekkie, reading a book, maybe checking Facebook, doing some journaling, doing some writing. But, particularly in these cold winter months, it's not me getting up and exercising and getting stuck into things. Also, there's other people in my house, so whatever I do, I'm going to be quiet about it. So, guideline for me around movement is I want it done either before I see clients or, before 9. So it changes in summer months. In summer months, it can be earlier, but, it's cold, it's windy, it's like not that easy to get out the door. And I'm not going to walk when it's dark for a safety thing. I want there to be people about. So somewhere roughly around 8ish, 8:30, it's like, all right, you need to be out the door. That's the habit. We need to be out the door. Even if I have nothing planned for the rest of the day. I was talking to a friend this morning and we're talking about how being a solo practitioner, working for yourself, having your own business, you have to generate your own momentum, particularly on those non-client days. And she's saying it's really difficult. She says much easier if you go to work because getting there by a set amount of time, that starts your day, that starts your rhythm. But you got to do it yourself when you work for yourself. And I'm not a great planner. I'm not very organised. I'm one of those people that if I make a plan, I feel suffocated. It's like, I have flashbacks to year 12, which was 40 years ago now. I did a plan, I did a schedule, I did a time schedule. All the hours were colour-coded. Basically the first and last time I ever did that, and it just doesn't really work. It worked for me then. I hate it now. Okay, so I have these guidelines around what I do. So for me, it's be up, do something reflective, get your butt out the door and moving before your client or before 9 o'clock at the latest. And I work within that. So it's a buffer. So it's a momentum. It's a momentum start. If it's at the end of the day, it's a reset. If I'm having a really stressful day, I need to go and walk. I'll go and walk and tap into some of the skills I do when walking. The skill I'm going to talk about today is micro connections, and it's one of my favourite things to do because we know there's evidence, there's research everywhere that we are living in a world that has an epidemic of loneliness. The online world opens up some things for people. It also closes a lot of connection between people. But we can't, there's a lot of research. We know this for a fact. But bridging that loneliness to belonging, loneliness to connection, it's often really, really hard for lots of reasons. Maybe it's social anxiety, maybe it's physical disability, or another sort of mental health condition that gets in the way. Maybe it's how we feel about ourselves, how we look. Maybe it's trauma, bad relationships, lack of social skills, language difficulties. And we also had COVID for a couple of years of, intermittent lockdown and long lockdowns, and that impacted as well on how naturally we connect with others. Now, I'm the sort of person who'll sit down somewhere with a stranger and start a conversation. I don't always feel like that, but when I do feel like that, it comes pretty easily. And that's because I've made a deliberate decision to work on that. I never liked small talk. I always found it terribly off-putting, very uncomfortable, did not see the point of it. Until I started work, really, or still I started uni, got out of high school, and gradually, came upon me gradually, seeing the point of it, seeing the point of those moments of connection. No matter what it was about, no matter whether it was the only time in my life I was ever going to see that person, I want to make that point count. Because I've experienced devastating loneliness, and it's a horrid place to be. And for me, coming out of depression and depressive feelings that still, are still just below the surface, connection to other people and to other things and to myself and to a greater purpose is the key. And we know that finding meaning in life is very much connected with happiness and with a feeling of connectedness. So it's all in there. It's all really, really important. And walking is a great way to practice micro connections. And you can do that with the 4 things I mentioned, with yourself, with others, with the world around you, and with your higher being, or the unified field, or that high level of consciousness, or your God. Now, I'm going to focus more on micro connections with other people. The previous 2 podcast episodes, both those topics are to do with connecting with yourself, and connecting with the world around you is mindfulness-based sensory, and that will be another podcast episode. And all of these are being covered in the Walking is Awesome program. So, micro connections with other people. The beauty of this is you can start wherever you like, as small as you like. Doesn't mean walking with someone else. That's a connection that can come up, in the scale. But it can start internally. It can start with internally acknowledging someone else, even if you don't want to make eye contact or look at them. You might be walking past them and it's like, oh, there's another person. Or I send you loving kindness. Or hi. All internally. But it's an act inside of you. So it's a behaviour, internal behaviour, that all comes together to help form an identity of you as someone who connects with others, with someone who's part of the world around you, even though it's inside, it's internal. The second thing you can do, so kind of the next level up, is an acknowledgement of some sort. That can be eye contact. It can be a wave. Just a great wave, particularly if you don't know them. And we are talking about strangers here, people you don't know, or maybe neighbours you see occasionally, depending on where you walk. It can be a nod, just a quick nod. It could be a smile, if you're feeling that way inclined. It can, so they're all non-verbal. It can be a verbal acknowledgement then. It can be, hi. It can be great weather. It can be acknowledging something that's going on around you. That I'm just trying to think. There was a verbal exchange with someone I did today. I think it might have been about the weather. It's always a safe bet because you're both experiencing it. So it's a commonalities. That's why we talk about the weather, because it's an easy point of common crossover. So short verbal exchanges. Then they could be longer exchanges, particularly if it's someone you know or a neighbour. A quick catch up. If you don't want to speak for long, that's okay. You can always pretend you're talking on your phone. And by the way, all of these connections are probably stronger if you've got your phone away for that time. If you've been listening to music, you might just it might just be a one-way exchange, such as you giving to someone. It can also be that micro connection, you responding to a smile or hi away from someone else. And don't feel disheartened if you're giving a micro connection and that person's not picking it up, because they might be just in one of those moods. I don't always want to connect with others. I might walk with my head down, just deliberately ignoring because I'm not in the mood. So maybe that's them. But if you're in that mood and someone smiles at me, even if I'm not in that mood, I receive that. It still goes. Okay, so don't let that put you off. So these are the 3 types of micro connections when you're walking. No? So internal, non-verbal, and then short verbal. There you go. I'd love to know what you think. I hope you found this useful. And if you're interested in doing more, up-leveling your walking, or doing things that make you look forward to walking, that help you integrate walking into your day-to-day life, drop me a message, or there's probably a link where you're watching or listening to this about the Walking is Awesome program, which I'm still finalising details about and hoping to bring to you really soon. Okay, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you next time. Okay, bye guys.